Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Rao. Happy International Day of Yoga. Very special to me and for all of us too, in a way. Um, if only recognize the importance of it. I'm sure a lot of people have recognized that's why it came into being. Um, Yoga was there for thousands of years, but in 2015, in one of the uh, most popular vote in the United Nations, like 170 countries or so. It seems that they never voted something like that in the past. Any issue, they never got that many votes in the United Nations. So that's very important to understand that why so many countries recognized value of yoga in terms of health and wellness, longevity, mental health, and all that, right? So they decided to celebrate June 21st every year as the International Day of Yoga. And today happened to be Indian Prime Minister in here, United States, and he was doing yoga in New York in front of the United Nations, and it seems the crowd had representatives from almost every country, you know. So that was a Guinness record. How many representatives of several countries participated? How many countries really participated? You know. So that I don't know the actual number, but they said that's the highest number they ever seen, and that's why the uh, Guinness Book of Record established it today, and they announced it after that. All that is superficial to me, but what is the deeper significance of yoga is something I think I want to relate to you. Uh, right in the beginning, I want to tell you I'm not supporting yoga because it came from India, I come from India. It is there, but it's not the main reason. The main reason is it's a vehicle that could really improve our lifestyle, irrespective of which religion, which country you are coming from. It's a human development. It's like a inward science, you know, that if you could understand and participate, no matter who you are, um, you will be benefited. That's what I want to talk about. There is a lot of depth to yoga. If you want to talk, 1 hour will not be enough. But the main things, you know, which are really important, I will talk about. So yoga is obviously not just hundreds of years old, but thousands of years old. They found relics of yoga postures back in very very old times, you know, okay, thousands of years ago. So it's not about only the physical form of yoga. It's about uh, what do we do with our mind, you know, and how can we really help our thinking. And that is really the major thing for me, especially as I studied yoga. Physical exercises are very good, along with that breathing is very good, but when I understood the real meaning of yoga is about the mind, it made all the difference, you know. And then once you understand how the thought and how the awareness, and these are really terms that you want to understand where they fit in. So once you understand that, uh, if you take a standard textbook of Patanjali Yoga Sutras, right? It's a compilation of several small stanzas of sutras, and then one of them tells you the aim of yoga. Yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. Chitta means the mind inside, right? vrittis, that is the modifications of the brain and the mind because of the so many thoughts, and to neurosis to stop them, to really have that ability to just keep a quiet mind, like, right? And once the superficial mind is quiet and you don't have any thoughts or feelings or anything like that, just a tranquil mind, then you can turn inward and really see what you are. You are that awareness, which is the tranquil mind that is turned towards that state of affairs where everything is tranquil and harmonized. That is the real you. They call this Swarupa. Tada drashtu Swarupe avasthanam. When the first word, first stanza is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. When you stop the modification of the mind, when it is silent, then you really look at what you really are. That is Swarupa, your uh, conscious being or awareness. What is it that is aware of the thoughts? That particular thing you will see, and that is real yoga. Hi, Prasad. Welcome.
Hello, Dr. Rao.
Yeah.
How are you? Thank you.
I just started 5 minutes ago. I was just telling them about what is it? Hi, Sanya. Welcome. So I was telling them about why so many countries came together and established this International Day of Yoga, and the UN, it seems, got the highest votes. And today also they had a crowd in New York with Prime Minister Modi here. So many countries participated. They got a Guinness book for that. So then I was telling them about what is real yoga and what is Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And if you talk about everything that I know about yoga, it will take 1 year probably. I'm not exaggerating. But I just want them to see what's the relevance of this day and how it is useful for us. Okay, everybody thinks exercises on the mat is yoga. Yeah, that is the beginning part of it. That is good. You're doing it, good for the physical health. But actually, yoga is about mind. Even Patanjali wrote the Patanjali Yoga Sutras for the mind. He wrote another book for the body, that is Ayurveda. And he wrote another book that is for the Vyakarana, that is for the language, right? Three books he wrote. This book is for the mind. So he starts with some principles we should have in our daily life. They're called Yama Niyama. Altogether, there are 8 parts that Patanjali describes. The first one is how do you relate to the outer world, to the society? And this is yamas. So they are like non-violence, truth speaking, non-stealing, and celibacy, and not accumulating, not accepting it, something like that. So ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. These are the five are called yamas because if you don't live by these principles, they can become cause of your destruction. Or yama means the death of god of death, right? So don't be violent, don't be speaking lies, don't steal, don't accumulate, and don't have indiscrimination in your sexual practices, that kind of thing, right? The second one is called niyamas, that are principle within yourself. How do you do? That is, the first one is cleaning yourself, both body, mind, and all that. That is saucha. Then second one is santosha, that is contentment. And third one is swadhyaya, that means self-study. You got to improve yourself and all those things, right? Then you have tapas, that means you got to really do for a long time, like you are cooked, kind of you subject yourself as a cooking to achieve anything, you know. And then Ishvara Pranidhana, that's like a submission to the force that created you. whatever way you can describe it as well. So these are 10 things that are put together in two sutras. Two, that is like a 10 commandments, like, for first five for the society and second five for the personal thing, right? Then what happens is, uh, what happened? You, you put me down, Prasad, or what happened? Yeah. So what happens is, uh, once you once you have understood two principles, then you go to how to really shape the body. That's where the postures, asana, that's the third step comes in. And that's a big science, and there are so many uh, modifications are there. But basically, physical health, that means you are basically don't have anything that kind of makes you uncomfortable, that makes you feel not ready to sit down for a long time. So the aim is to make the body healthy enough that it will sit down. Okay. And the fourth one is the pranayama, which is breathing. How you breathe, how you bring in the energy, that's important. That's where it is, right? The number four. And then number five is you are telling the mind, hey, mind, I'm going to do something with you. So you better withdraw all the senses within yourself, not really uh, uh, play around with senses, right? That's why they call pratyahara, that is withdraw. So up until five, two are related to the Ten Commandments, third one is asana, fourth one is breathing, and the fifth one is withdrawing the senses, right? And then the last three are called antahkaranas. These are the real ones that you work with your mind. Okay, so those are very important to understand. They are called dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Dharana is where you gather all your thoughts together, and dhyana is you focus on one thing, and samadhi is you are beyond that one thought and you are absorbed in that. Okay, so these are the eight things. Rather extensive volumes are written on this, but basically what it is you kind of make your body healthy and uh, calm enough, quiet enough. You can sit for a long time and circulate the energy from the breathing very well, and withdraw this and absorb yourself in concentrating your mind, going to one thought and going down. That is why yoga is for the mind, how you maintain your mind. See, now if you look at around the world, there is a tremendous amount of mental health problems, and there's tremendous health of division and violence and wars. And there is, if you take the inner peace element, many human beings don't have peace of mind at all. So to promote all these things, this is very, very important to understand what it is and bring at least some amount of it into your life. Okay, I will involve Prasad here also, and we'll see what does it mean to him. So, what do you think about the International Day of Yoga, Prasad?
Yeah, this is the most desired day, minding not only the way how we live, and not at present moment, but also into the future, keeping body, soul, mind, and everything together for having a very valuable sort of exercise, and also um, focusing on the things that are needed in present day, minding our health and focus to keep our mind fresh all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you for the contribution so far. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, uh, it's a thing that was born in India, has really had highest peaks of evolution, and then it kind of got lost mainly because of the invasion of the foreigners, and then they kind of suppressed it as though retrograde, as though. But actually, when you examine yoga, it is significantly very evolved internally. You know, the yogis that are really living the life of yoga were very healthy for a long time and were enjoy, were blissful, and very simple in their life, so that it helped the ecology also. Earth and its elements, they were preserved because they had so much joy inside. They don't have to gather things outward. They advise simplicity, and they didn't say that you have to give up all the things. Only they said was psychological attachment to things. Give that up and then live simply. But important thing for them was to turn inward and realize who we are. That's why all the effort is to still the thought and look inside and find our real self. That is why it is such a difficult thing in a modern time, because they don't even have calmness of the mind, silent mind. They're running for something all the time. So they don't have the time to reflect. They don't have time to sit down, and they don't have time to really be extract what their teaching is about. I am very uh, much observing this for about 20, 30 years probably, and 1985, I think I did some yoga while I was a student, but nobody taught me about yoga being the mind, or yoga has such a depth. None of it was there. But our school, we call them drill master. He works with the physical, so he used to make us do some postures once a week sometime, and we were youngsters, were very playing all the time, and so we were able to do that. So I learned that those asanas, and I used to do them by myself once in a while. Other than that, after I got enrolled into medical field, I was not able to get the time or motivation. Nobody really told us to do. So India is as Western as you guys are here. So it's not something that they are doing on a daily life. Some people do, but very few people. But lately, it has gone up. So I'm happy to see that. But still, it's very disappointing to see many Indians don't have a fagiest idea about what is the real yoga is, and then they don't have that in their life. I can say for sure that one, because I go and speak on some people, their questions, the way they approach it, thing. When you personally ask them what they are doing, they are maybe they will do some yoga, some breathing, and maybe some silence of the mind with the meditation they call it, but they don't have real understanding of what is the depth of yoga. That is unfortunate. That's why I care my time to really run classes to train people and to make them understand. Then back here, when I came in 1981, at the end of the 81, almost 82, right? I got into touch with B.K. Iyengar's Light on Yoga book in 1985. He had a schedule of this yoga every week. You could do this, you could do this breathing and all that. That kind of thing really made me learn his way. And he is kind of uh, very strict and very correct person. And later on, I came to know his history and all that. That became really big deal, because he was somebody uh, master at everything. He could do number of things for the people that helped them to really really help themselves with a lot of diseases and all that. His whole story is fascinating if you look at it. He came to, I think, England. Yehudi Menuhin. He is the person who was playing violin. He was internationally famous. He was a friend of Nehru, then Prime Minister, I believe. So, Prime Minister introduced PK Iyengar to Yehudi Manian, and Yehudi Manian playing violin so much time, he had developed some problems with the shoulder, neck, and also back, I think. And he made them do certain exercises which helped Yehudi Manian immensely. So he was very impressed. So what he did was he brought him to Europe, right? And he was doing 18 hours a day yoga practice, BK Sangha. And then he gave altogether 10,000 demonstrations around Europe and USA. And he became a guru for over 11 to 15 million people in the United States. So I came across with him when he was into his 70s and 80s, right? But I followed his life story where he started, and his guru was his brother-in-law, the great Krishnamacharya, you know, and he was a truly bona fide Himalayan yogi, and he learned from the authentic books. One of the books, I think. Yoga Korata, something like that. He learned and he taught. He wrote that book, and but it was written on flimsy paper or whatever. That is gone. He never published it, but he was the really modern guru who produced B.K. Sengar, Patabi Joyce, Aruna Devi, all those important people who came to the West and taught them. But now, this phenomenon of International Day of Yoga gives us a choice of making it a focus and then tell them. Hi, Sonia. How are you? Welcome.
Thanks, Dr.
Yeah.
Happy International Yoga Day.
Say, yeah, same to you. Same to you. Uh, Sonia is the only highest attended to my wellness club. There are other people signed up, but they were able to do only certain days. But this is something I would recommend make it a lifestyle in the sense understand it and incorporate it into your life. That's my recommendation. Then you will also have, like me, a silent mind but very effective intellect, and you are also experience of the joy inward, not dependent on anything outward. Okay, and you will have better health, longevity, and also you will be living in joy. You know, and also you touch upon the inner treasures that you have. Nobody need to give you anything, but you need to, with your own practice, you can touch them. The inner happiness, inner health, and inner tranquility. I'm not exaggerating. These are all possible. These are all happening too. We have studies on yoga and science. There's a lot going on. Leave alone the asanas and breathing and plain meditation. That's okay. Everybody can feel it. But uh, Dalai Lama and other people of that stature, they are involved in studies. They in meditating Buddhist monks, for example, and also bringing in some of the scientific institutions here, and then doing the study of meditation and the minds that are meditating and seeing what is happening. That is very exciting area, and I have been following it quite well. But also, I can see for myself what they are talking about, and being a physician and also yoga lifestyle person, I want to convey that kind of benefits to my friends, family, and the patients. That is done. I'm happy with the efforts I do. I produce videos and articles, and I go and talk, and I talk here and all that. Um, it's not something that you learn in an hour, you know, but you get to examine it seriously, like any other subject that we do. And maybe a few months you study and practice. See, it's not like just having an intellectual conceptual understanding. It's like executing in your life. It could be your body, it could be your energy, it could be your mental thought process or emotional liability, or so many things are there. But if you look at it like a way of life where it is natural, it is done daily with reverence, because the findings that were given are really points to your divinity within you. So that's like a heavy word, but then that is what it is. So yoga, yoke, came from the word yoke, that is joining. Joining, it's not body, mind, uh, soul, not like that. That's a very immature understanding. What it is you as an individual energy or soul or conscious being really identifying that you are part of the universal divine consciousness. Once you experience that, not just understanding even, once you experience that, then you know the validity of it. Okay, then you are yogi. So that is why arrest or control or stop, that is what they said, stall them, stall all the thoughts and achieve that state, and then turn inward and you look at that individual self, and that it is part of universal self, and that is yoga. Okay, your body, mind, emotions and all that, actually only one organism, and those are all tools for your individual soul energy or conscious being, and that really identifying as part of the universal being, that is yoga. Okay, so there is nothing here religious. Maybe people claim it that, but when it was really invented thousands of years ago, anything that they talk about is for the entire world. For example, sarve jana sukhino bhavantu, that means all people be well and happy. Okay, vasudhaiva kutumbakam, meaning what? That the entire beings on this earth are in one family. The entire world is one family. Look at what happens. Then the nationalities are dropped, races are dropped, our genders are dropped. So we are all one human tribe. What would do it do to the ecology when you don't have that kind of differences? When you don't have that kind of differences, what would happen to the wars and the destruction and the money that is spent? So understanding it at the root level and living it, and it will be contributory just by living your life. Okay, that's why I got this internship. I know many people are not interested in something like that because they want to um, go on with their own agitated minds, with their own divisions, with their own not paying attention to the wars, to the famines, to the inequalities and all that. Even if you take your dive, suppose how you have to go on is not a reactionary, really irritating, or walking around with the ego. That's not it. Yoga staha kuru karmani. First, establish yourself in that union of what I described about individual consciousness, identifying that it's a part of universal consciousness. Okay, once you establish yourself in there, your instruments of body and mind, they can be managed very easily. But if you identify that you are the body, or you identify you are the mind or the thinking, then you are only working with a part of what you are, not really who you are. Okay, and take the work, for example, karmaju kausalam, yoga karmaju kausalam, that means efficiently working. That is a very important principle of yoga. What do they say? If you work nishkama karma, that means without any desire for yourself, and you are working after really relinquishing everything, and then joyfully work because you are not worried to the results, but you are working the process. And then you don't have the anxiety that I have to achieve these results, or you don't feel down because you have not achieved. You just focus on the process. There are people in regular life you can see that are living their life in real life. You know, I will tell you a couple of examples. One is the cricket captain of Western India, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. He is a remarkable person, but he is actually living nishkam karma. That is, he doesn't want any personal gain from that. Okay? He is a very achieved Indian captain. He won the World Cup and all that. So people worship him. See, there is an Indian league in India, cricket league. They have several teams from representing several states, right? But wherever he goes, his team colors are displayed in every stadium. All the people dress in the yellow that he represents, and he comes. He said something very simply. When somebody asked him, "What do you envision that you will be doing in 4 or 5 years?" And he said, "I don't think like that. I think only the present. If I take care of the present, the future will be okay." Actually, he's living that. And also, he said, if I lose, I consider it as an experience. If I win, that's okay. I don't let it go to my head. That is karma yoga. Yoga in karma, in action. When you are acting, if you don't have the personal gain there, and also you are just happy that you are given the chance to work, you are given the opportunity to help somebody, to serve somebody, then that itself becomes what they describe as Sivagnana Jiva Seva. That means you are serving the Lord in everyone. And that Lord is our inner self. That is the one which we are serving. So that's why how I approach. If I come and talk to anybody or teach anything anybody, that is the attitude I have. And so you are not worried of the yearly plans, 6 months plans, 3 months plans. All you do is you may have that kind of thinking about it, and then you put yourself in a certain way. Then you will be doing towards that goal today as the important. What happens then is you will be living in the present. So that is kaushalam. That means skill in action. If you really understand, that's a lot to take to explain to you. If you really understand what is karma yoga, what is nishkama karma yoga, and what is really action, what is the skill in that action. So Dhoni, look at him, he is very skillful in maintaining people, in identifying their strengths, but he works on those weaknesses by understanding how they can be helped rather than putting them down. He's a wonderful leader. Anybody who comes under him, they perform very well because they find that he kind of gives them the trust. He gives the lift that they can elevate themselves. He identifies the good things and then let him execute that. So having that kind of person working, he's very famous in India. But then around the world now. So that's one person. The other person, I just saw a movie in Telugu that was very well made movie. Uh, this is about parents, couple of parents that were really taken advantage of by the children, which is happening, which is a Western product downloaded to other countries too. Living for themselves, nuclear families. It used to be people were doing things for people because they care for people. So that culture also in India is gone because this greed factor, this money making factor is introduced into the culture, and they blindly following that too. The consequences of that culture getting lost is kids are brought up by the parents. All the money they give to them or they kind of spent on their education, whatever, And these people take jobs everywhere, and then they neglect the parents, but they abuse the parents too. In that, there was one character actress. He had worked on so many hundreds of movies so far as a comedian. But in this movie, he acted as a very serious role. There was no comedy anywhere at all. But he performed brilliantly. Um, his name is the Brahmanandam, right? And he was interviewed. I noticed something he said very telling to me. He said, "How do you know that you could give certain expression, certain deaths?" He said, "I don't know. It just happens." He believes that he got this wonderful chance of being an actor, and all the divinity is going to lead him to do his things. So he will not allow ego go on. And he quoted a poem, Karmanyavadikaraste Mafaleshu Kadachana. That's a poem from Bhagavad Gita describing how Karma Yoga is, where you are going to do the work and you have a right to do the work, but you have no right to expect the results of the work. That means you do the work in the name of the God or in the name of the people, whatever. So that is what he is doing all the time. That's why he was so balanced all these times, and then he was so oriented. He will just go on doing stuff. He doesn't pay attention to the praise or anything. So enormous success both these guys have. That's why I was telling you. And they are following the this Karma Yoga principle. So you guys have any comments, or what do you want to do?
In fact, I have a comment, Dr. Rao. The two examples are perfect match on complying how we need to live without much stress and be in the moment. And one thing I just want to remind here also in the connection of entrepreneurship as well, Swami Vivekananda also told that if you win, I think it is connected to more aligned with the life message, and also very well connected with the entrepreneurship. That's why I'm bringing it up. He went on saying, if you win, you would be a leader on whatever you do. If you lose, you would be a great advisor based on your own experiences.
Yeah.
That's where it lies. And if you couple with the yoga and it a perfect match to manage yourself at any given situation.
That's true.
I believe in that and I practice that one too. Thank you.
Swami Vivekananda is a real advocate of all the four yogas and all that. But beyond that, he is basically about deeper text and deeper message also. But he said, wake up your real self and let it come and then let it pass through. That's a very important thing. But he is actually responsible for West to know about the Indian yoga and all that. He came in late 19th century, I think 1893, something like that. He came to a Parliament of Religion in Chicago, and he was visited by scientists like Nikolai Tesla, you know, and then he was also meeting Tata on the ship, and now in India he told him to establish a science foundation, which Vivekananda recommended, and Jamshedpur Tata, I think that was the name. He went and established it. I remember all this because I stayed in the institute one time in Bombay. I was there, and then because we were taken there by a common friend or somebody, and we on the top floor, and the connection was this. Vivekananda inspired that. He inspired so many things like that. For example, they have this Ramakrishna mission, which is a very valuable thing. Ramakrishna is the guru of Swami Vivekananda, So Ramakrishna sent him to the West, told him, go and spread this message. And when he came, Vivekananda spread all this. But he was very close to the science also. There's so many things about Vivekananda that are out of your mind inspiration, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, many of the people are forgotten. All students are recommended to read two books. One is Raja Yoga, which is the Patanjali Yoga. I kind of described to you. And uh, the next one is Karma Yoga. How do you act? He wrote a small book on here for women, how to motivate them. I think I will have to somehow make it available to you. I think all entrepreneur women, especially, if they read that, I think they will be ecstatic for the suggestions that were made. This was made in early 1900, I think, somewhere like this. A very small book. I have it in my library. Um, I have several of his collective works and all that there. Vivekananda was so far ahead of so many things. It's very wonderful even to explore them now. I attend some classes on Vivekananda for a long time, and his main message is you are really very strong inside. Go and touch it and live it. So he was so motivational. You, if you listen to him 1 hour, you feel like I should meet this person. Really, you'll feel like, oh my God, what a revelation in a small sentence. So Vivekananda also big. Actually, he's the first to introduce real yoga and all that to Westerners. After that, other people came and then they kind of did that. But for example, he says about concentration. If you don't have concentration, you cannot really read anything. So he said, if I have to study again, I will first learn what is concentration and then learn in all the books and everything. So that concentration, his concentration was so phenomenal, he was able to read books just like that. He glanced at it and he got it. So people were very much surprised. How could he read such a rapidity, such fast, and all that? Then he explained, for that you have to have concentration, and you also have to have celibacy. Keeping your mind and heart pure and all that. Okay. The story was he was staying in Boston or somewhere, and he was reading one book a day, big books. The librarian got a doubt. Why is he borrowing every day one big book and then returning it? He must be glancing at it and not reading it. And so he didn't believe that he was reading all of them. Then Vivekananda went to him and uh, he said, okay, are you really reading it? Yes. Then the person doesn't believe. Then he said, you take encyclopedia. He was reading all the encyclopedia, the big books. Any page, anything you ask me, I will answer you. And that man went on, tested him for 1 or 2 hours. Then he realized what a concentration the had. So that is possible because instead of we reading word letters together as words together as sentences, he reads the entire page in the one glance. Other thing he contributed in a significant way, a lot of people don't know, was Vivekananda was in New York or somewhere, and he established these Vedanta societies. He kind of staying there. Then Rockefeller, the senior Rockefeller, he made a lot of money at the time, but he was very greedy, selfish, and non-caring. So he made a lot of enemies too, and a lot of people resented the way he developed into a money-grabbing, not caring person. So he was very unhappy because that is what is happening even now. People who are in the hunt just for the money, they really build up resistance without knowing. But many people are balancing it. But I'm talking about real greedy people. So Rockefeller was the epitome of that, right? So he goes to Vivekananda to visit him, He doesn't announce, he doesn't ask for permission, he just barges into the back room where Vivekananda was sitting. And then he says he has some conversation and all that. Then he told him how unhappy he is and all that. Then Vivekananda tells him, "Your money is making you all unhappy. Just give it away." And then he was to him, but then he walks away. And he does really give some of the money at the time. And then he collects receipts for that. And then he brings with all the receipts and then throws it to Vivekananda on his face. Look here, I gave the money. Are you happy now? Then Vivekananda says, why should you be happy? You are having the problem. Are you happy that you gave it now? Then Rockefeller realized that he was happy that he gave the away, right? So that's a very important thing they understood. He and established these foundations that became a model, and more people followed that. So he was very encouraging this kind of entrepreneurship where you establish foundations and help the causes. Okay, so if you understand, that's why people ask me lots of them, oh, Dr. Rao, you give thousands of this thing away and all that. That's not thing for me, right? Giving is getting for me, and that is what is involved in yoga too. So what are you giving? You are giving care to the planet, care to the gardens, care to the water, and care because they are all five elements that you value, you appreciate, you are grateful for. You are grateful for the earth also. How often people don't pay attention to these things, and how we have led to this almost brink of existence because of this unawareness of what is going on around us. So that is where also the nature and yoga are very intricately connected. If you go deeper, actually, there's called Sankhya philosophy. What is that Sankhya philosophy is? You have this Purusha, which is the spirit, and you have Prakriti, which is our body, mind, and everything else too. So from the Purusha, the Prakriti comes. Prakriti has this tremendous power under which we live. But then spirituality is turning from the Prakriti, getting rid of that hold of the Prakriti, and turning and realizing the spirit within us. So that philosophy based on that philosophy, a lot of yoga also developed. But there is a limitation at the end of the yoga is like a going on, like a you got to the movie is going on, the movie of our life, and you got to unplug the electricity, stop it to really see what is what. That's the darkness. But in Vedanta, which is really the uh, end of all the knowledge, that is where you kind of see that you are that screen on which the movie is playing, and you are always aware of that. Then you don't have to switch off the movie, but you will be aware of what it is. Then you don't have to meditate in the sense, but you are aware, and that awareness, you don't need to do all this. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, great point, Dr. Rao. Actually, not many do not know, including myself, about the story that happened. Actually, the real incident that happened between Rockefeller and Swami Vivekananda. This is a great insight how these things work in synchrony to establish best humanity out of anybody who is in despair of feelings missing for them or of them. Thank you.
But the thing is, Vivekananda did not live for a long time. He died at the age of 38, very early. But in 10, 15 years, he accomplished enormous volumes of work and volumes of people he prepared. And his yoga is very popular. The two books, the Raj Yoga and Karma Yoga, are recommended for all students because there is something about absorption of the how you learn also. There is age when you present these things, kids can absorb. Now it is out of the window. A lot of people are not doing what is important for life. They are not preparing people for the university. They are not. They are preparing for the universities, but not for the universe. That is what yoga can do. It can explain the ecology, it can explain the energies, it can explain the socio-economic factors, it's going to explain how you get conditioned, how can you be free from it. So I live a full life than most people because I don't want to really accumulate a lot of things, but enjoy the inner richness. So people cannot really sleep very well, people cannot think very well, people cannot maintain honest relationship with people and everything. Everything is like a concept, stays there, but not brought into the life. So everybody has to examine, am I living in the thought world or just to stop the thought and then really be in touch with my real energy and come from there. So that is what yoga does. There's another thing too. Yoga teaches you to change yourself from inside out. The self will that can damage you, that can also help you to transform yourself. But if you are not touched with what is going on within you, how can you? Because there is only certain time before your mind takes over in the form of establishing all those routine things and all the neurological paths. Then you are at the mercy of the created neurological paths, which are called samskaras or tendencies, and then it is very difficult. Suppose you are fearful and you allow the fear to go on for years and years, it becomes very tough to get out of it because you, without you knowing, you formed a new brain causing that fear too. So to reverse that, you got to train yourself. That's where yoga, body training, mind training, everything it takes a long time because people cannot really do that. This training, if you don't do every day in some form, it is difficult. For me, it's a lifestyle, so it's very easy. My main thing is that, and all these things are secondary. So whatever I do with the clinic, with the hospital, with anybody, anything, that's all okay. I'm kind of service, but my main daily life is completely based on yoga and Vedanta. Okay. Hi, Dr. K, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Peace and love to all of you. And I was doing the energy self-reflection.
Yeah,
I think we are one consciousness
yeah,
because I was posting, I started posting on Twitter 2021. So the plan was I plan to do something like human doing the human being.
yeah.
And
Are you
everything
familiar?
I was,
Are you familiar with this International Yoga Day?
I have no idea.
Huh.
So then I was writing
Yeah,
algorithm and everything it happened. And
yeah,
then I started to tweet for the first time on Indian, is it Prime Minister or President Modi? What
yeah,
is it called?
yeah.
President.
Prime Minister Modi,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And for him, I was posting on Twitter some of the idea that was coming.
yeah,
And then, and then I created the MMM. This was the old way, which is ego-driven world, which is mastermind maker.
yeah,
Then it's gonna be transferred to GG2, God or love guiding government globally.
yeah,
Because consciousness can be activated and to only identify the truth and love. Love is gonna be the gravitational energy where one person can possess any abundance if you align with that frequency and vibration and harmony. Now, the name of that is called divine harmonics. That is the new enlightened being of humans. And now, the law of possibility for humanity to activate the DNA and the consciousness.
yeah.
I love it.
Very good. Yeah, see, I was introducing people how this day came about 9 years ago, and United Nations voted the highest number for this kind of proposal. No other thing that they proposed got so many votes, 170 or something, and then every year they're celebrating that, and more people are introduced to this. It's a kind of a lost lifestyle that should be revamped because it's very modern in that way. Um, for me, I live in the United States, but I live a lifestyle that's akin to these things. I found them very conducive to harmoniously living with nature and around everybody. And I'm not doing this just because I born in India and I came from India. Because it is valuable and it's something that I know, and I'm kind of living that and helping other people too. They don't have to be any particular religion or particular country because I don't identify myself with a Hindu or India. Because for me, for the yogis also, world is one, earth is one. Okay, that is what is really, especially J. Krishnamurti when he
Yeah,
came in.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
when
Because uh, I was connected with the United Nations
he,
Anti-Negotiation and WHO.
yeah,
And then the thought was coming, a new educational system should be implemented. And I put the algorithm and I gave them. I don't know if they are following it or not. So love, self-love is the key now. The new school system. It's
yeah,
gonna be completely with you. New physics, everything gonna be new. Because it's gonna be based on love harmony.
yeah. That reminds me of yogic style of education. This was called Gurukul in ancient India. What used to happen there was the parents, like kings or other people high in the society, they used to take their young kids around the age of 5 or 6 and leave them with this guru who is in the forest because he doesn't want to earn any money, he doesn't want to really charge any fees. He teaches everything that he knows to the kid free. His aim is to get this kid completely evolved in all the everything that is appropriate for his career, right? And the kid is treated just like their own child, and then given a lot of love and affection, and also was introduced to the nature in a big way. And then they were taught so many things that were very good. Okay, so the purpose was, if suppose you are a king's son, you are groomed to be a good king. So he is taught how to raise animals, how to raise the plants. At the same time, he was taught about a lot of administration, lot of warfare, lot of things. Apart from that, they used what is called Brahma Vidya. That is, Brahman means this universal consciousness. Education about that, how that is the part of us. So that is a big deal at the time, Gurukul. So this Gurukul, after he is done, at the end of it, only if they want to give some gift or something as a Guru Dakshina, they accepted that with gratefulness, but not they demanded anything like that. So the education was purely educating the kid to go into his world and excel, not this commercialization of education that you will go, you'll get this big package, big money, and all that. That corruption has happened. Then they developed only partially in their whatever they chose. They're like this technical world. For example, that's a major criticism of the modern world is my criticism too. You are so oriented towards the modern technology and you kind of do not pay attention to what is happening to everything else, the people, the earth, the atmosphere, everything, right? And then you don't have any elevation the earth or the elements, and that is the criticism because people are not aware. They get cooped up in the office sometimes and they don't know anything what's going on, and that itself becomes a problem for them. So Gurukul really prepared the kids in a holistic way, in a total way. I kind of did some of it for my kids, and also I had a Polisu Gurukul. Now it has become the BA PAL. That used to be online thing. I kind of enrolled my children, my sisters, brothers, children, all those things, and we did a weekly session where they're all teenagers. So we got them and we made them understand how the modern society has evolved and what are the weaknesses of the modern society that you want to be careful of, and what are the good things about modern society that you want to learn from. But this blind leaving them to commercial poor education system is not doing any good for our kids, I think. Hi, Quinn. How are you?
Hi, Dr. Rao. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
How are you?
I'm celebrating this International Yoga Day today. So I was
Oh
telling,
my God, Doctor, I told you last time. It's gonna be happen globally.
yeah,
Every global leader will be covered by now.
mhm, yeah. So Quinn, do you know about this day?
No, I haven't.
Mhm. So this is something that is happening in a lot of countries today, and that's why I thought I will
Yeah.
introduce to my friends. I did a lot of things from this morning, but then this hour I dedicated to introduce this to people and also some of the deeper aspects of it. So Quinn is,
That's why I'm having like the whole thing, a vibration of all my cells. The whole thing is
yeah,
vibrating the whole cell.
yeah,
Now I'm feeling a joy. This morning I was to go to near my home, like school. I was planning to go to talk to the principal and give him some new way of approaching the education. I said, why don't I do with the United Nations? But the
mm,
United Nations which reach out at me.
yeah. Yeah, it's important. So, Quinn, you know about the martial arts like that. Yoga is also kind of like that, right? So, I was
Yeah.
telling them about a couple of important people in yoga, like Patanjali, B.K. Iyengar, Krishnamachari. These are famous leaders in yoga practice, yoga education. But there's a lot more. There's thousands of years of history, and then the more I read and the more I understand, the richer my life has become. So that's a very important thing. So I come and share, but the most of the people are just acting like just understanding, talking about it, and then I don't think they really take it serious. They examine it. See, it's not that I'm telling them they have to go and do it, because if you really are serious about the issues involved, like global destruction is going on with the environment, global wars that are going on, global famines that are going on in several countries, and inequality, gender difference, women in so many countries are brutally treated now in Afghanistan, Syria, in Sudan now. So not in touch with what's going on, and then not even to able to understand what are the factors behind it, and then come and live a life and be example to other people so that we can help all these causes better. So a lot of deeper things are involved in this. So this is not just a personal fad for me. It's like a deep investigation of the current situation of the globe and countries and the people, and really identifying the causes and living that. Like, for example, I don't identify myself as a Hindu or Indian or any particular USA current citizen or anything like that. I don't identify. There may be geographical issues, and that's it. I identify more like the complete Earth, one Earth. When the moment we have that, then we'll all work together. And beyond that, also, there are no others. We are all one, actually. That is also yoga tells
Yeah.
you to be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you all, Dr. Rao. Ken, would you like to jump on? I would follow you.
Sure.
Go ahead,
So,
Quinn.
Dr. Rao, are there special celebrations or conferences for today, for
Yeah,
Yoga
yeah,
Day?
yeah. There's a lot happening this morning. Prime Minister Modi from India happened to be here with talks with the US, and they have some common things they want to talk about. But he's also celebrating it here today. He had a yoga session with thousands of people, in front of the UN building in New York. And the people attended represented almost all the countries in the world, and they got the um, award for that. That's a very good thing. And then there are a series of celebrations happened around the world, and Paris in Australia, everywhere people are. There are a lot of yoga practitioners, but unfortunately, America, like everything else, it kind of minimalized the whole thing, Americanized it. That means, oh, we are going to get healthy and we're going to go do all the mischief that we are doing. But they don't understand the deeper significance. Very few people are doing it. But majority of them like a fashion, like a keep their physical health, but they don't understand it's about the mind, it's about the harmony between everything else. So that's not like a resentment statement, it's a fact. What I'm saying is there's so much potential, explore that and get the benefit of that. Why do you want to just restrict it? It's just like this. There's an example I heard somewhere. The plane you have, and you chop off the wings and you taxi it around the airport as a taxi, you can never get off and fly. But yoga is like that. The physical asanas only is just driving the plane on the tarmac, not getting off. So there's so many heights you can see, reach, inner balance, inner tranquility, joy. All these things are possible with yoga. Unfortunately, even in India also, many people are influenced by the westernization of this, and then all the problems are happening in India because they forgot their own culture, and even the Indians that are living abroad and all that, they're completely not really enthusiastic about it. So I try to revive that with this kind of thing. But they know, I wrote an article today in LinkedIn, Quinn. If you follow me and follow that article, that will tell you international yoga, a lot of things I put in there. So you have a lot of information about how to participate, how to do. You may want to take a look at that. I think I may have posted here too. Let's see.
Is it your LinkedIn profile? Is it on the profile here? I don't see
Yeah,
it.
Rakolisu is my.
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
It's at the very bottom.
yeah.
Okay.
So you go there, and
Okay.
then I think I put this today in this one also, in the chat here. Uh, I think I posted it earlier in the house. That should be there. But
Okay. Cool.
I can bring it too. Yeah, I have this
Yeah.
here. There is a movie thing too I made, so I'm going to post that here. Okay, in this chart here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Now, speaking of the guru thing that you have spoken earlier, not many people may not be knowing the real meaning of actually the difference between the guru and teacher also. So I just want to touch upon that for the benefit of the listeners here. A guru is a person who transfers the knowledge without expecting anything. That means he won't take any money, anything, unless the sishyas or disciples offer him or her voluntarily. On the other side, the teacher would be compensated for his teachings all his life along, whatever he teaches. So this is a major distinction, and these two things are to be noted. And
I said that,
many people are thinking both are same.
Prasad, I did say that
These are different.
the guru at the time did not take any money. He was doing everything freely. So I mean, the system has changed. So the teachers, even now, they are not paid properly. So even though they say they have to pay, they don't pay them much, right? Many of the teachers complain that. Even here and in India, I heard that complaint. The present teacher, even though they are told that you're going to be paid, they're not getting paid really. They're the one. See, actually, teachers are the nation builders in a way. They should be valued. They should be compensated. They should be supported, right? I did mention about Gurukul. The first thing is the Guru will not ask for any money, will not expect anything. But that's a different time. They were living in forests, they were living under the support of the kingdom and all that. Even if they send something, they may take it, but they never demanded anything. That's an important distinction what Prasad was talking about. But then it's not the teachers only. Every other profession has become like that. Right? You have this term monetize, and you think that is a very important thing, a very virtual, noble thing, and that there lies the personal greed and personal scope. Not everybody is greedy, but some scope is there. And in Nishkama Karma, which I talked about, the yoga, Karma Yoga, you don't have that. That's how you can make your offerings as service. And then whatever comes is provided, you can take it. But that's a different aspect, how the people develop and all that. I think the most important thing is people don't really identify and enjoy inner joy. That's why they don't know what is these practices will bring. Then you don't care for the external thing. For example, uh, Yogananda, who was in Los Angeles in the early part of 20th century, he was having a lot of students in Los Angeles, many Americans, they wanted to come and learn yoga so that the sexual prowess will be improved. And Yogananda told him, yeah, it will help you physically become robust and all that your sexual prowess will improve. But then the desire may fall off if you're really doing the real yoga. And that's what happened to them. So they were not enamored by the sensory pleasure because that seemed like a small thing. That is what happens once you realize the inner tranquility, inner peace and quietness and joy. Then the external simple pleasures may not hold you that much. Okay, any questions, or shall we call it a day?
Thank you, Dr. Ro, for the wisdom.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Rao, thank you for the insights. And I have one reminder though. Since today is International Yoga Day and we have this program going on, energy and entrepreneurship, how do we tie up these three things, meaning energy, entrepreneurship, and yoga, for a better lifestyle or for the success in the life? Could we have a final word on this?
Sure.
Thank you.
This energy entrepreneurship is been going on for 2 3 weeks now. Okay, various subjects have taken for the entrepreneur how they can maintain the energy. Today happened to be International Yoga Day, so I kind of did not take that. But that's a very excellent suggestion, Prasad. Okay, energy and entrepreneur means they are synonymous, right? Usually, if you have a lot of rajasic energy, entrepreneurs will achieve a lot for their goals because the rajasic energy is a kinetic energy. So it makes you propel and do a lot of things, right? But you got to know the limits. You got to understand when that becomes too much. So there are three energies. Tamas is like a solid, and kinetic is like a liquid, fast moving, and then sattvic, which is the tranquil energy, a combination of that, like a air and all that. So if you are having inert, dull, or laziness and all that, that's called tamas energy. That is needed when you are lying down, sleeping, and all that. But you don't really sleep when you are working. That's why the kinetic energy is important. But the kinetic energy can go out of bound and then make you sick. That is what is happening with the modern society because people don't take time to take care of themselves, and people don't take time to calm themselves down to realign themselves. The chief thing for our body and mind realignment is good sleep. Good sleep doesn't mean you just sleep a few hours. You got to sleep on a quiet mind. So that is where yoga really will help you, especially if you are having problems with uh, sleeping, the first thing I tell them all the time is, are you being attentive during the day? That's a yoga principle, attention. You have to develop that focus, that yoga will give you that. And then, do you have any other thoughts that before you go to sleep, or do you make an effort to make your mind kind of empty, kind of take it easy and all that? And people who sleep on a positive mind or empty mind, they get up in the morning much better because the energy don't have to restore you that much. Okay, but if you have a lot of dreams, that means you are not being attentive during the day, you will be carrying it. And then if you are using smoking, alcohol, drugs and all that, that's not good and all that. So there had to be a discipline to bring this yogic discipline. Is like I get up in the morning no matter what. Even if I sleep late, I get up in the morning very easily. It becomes easy for your body clock to get adjusted if you understand yogic lifestyle and follow some of the principles. Basically, they don't go for the external pressures that much. They go for the inner joy, right? That is there. And then you have a regular life where you follow your body clock because you are more aware of what is happening with your hunger, with your sleep, and all that. And also, you learn to be silent, not only in the mind, but also in your speech. Today morning, I was studying about speech. PET, PET, remember that. PET is whatever you speak should be pleasant, should be emergency basis only. Unless it is needed, don't speak. And the T is for the truthfulness. If you do that, a lot of times you'll avoid a lot of problems. And the breathing is connected with energy is a big way. So you got to really understand what is prana, ayama. Ayama means it extends your life. So you slow down the breathing, you deep breathe, and this is something I advise my colleagues who are burning out. I tell them try to breathe deeply in the morning for a few minutes, like a 5-15 minutes, and then every 1 hour, 1 minute take a breath. I call this PMBB, present moment breathing breath. That is what you do with the breathing, you bring yourself to the present moment. So entrepreneurs can do this, can balance their reactions because they are getting short tempered. It's not good for their business, right? To be not reactive, but to respond, you want to cultivate the deep breathing. So these things can help the entrepreneurs, the daily life, early morning exercises, 1 minute every hour, and then in the evening, review all your reactions and put them away and sleep on an empty mind if possible, or positive mind if possible. All these things will help. And also follow your body clock. Don't indulge in eating things because you are addicted psychologically or taste and all that. So that kind of natural living, and also I just wrote an article on forest bathing, which is I put a lot of scientific data in there because what happens when you go to the forest. For example, I don't know whether anybody heard all the 8 principles. One of the principles was pratyahara. That means withdrawing the senses. But in forest bathing, what happens is your noisy mind is not there, but you are in touch with what is happening, the bird calling, the leaves, or the stream that's going in the distance. All those noises and audio visual things, you kind of enjoy them. But in pratyahara and yoga, what happens is those senses are seen, but the sense perception receiving, that is what they control, so that they don't have to be addicted to that. That's a different thing. But the entrepreneurs, I recommend, go and take a walk in at least twice a day or 3 times a week. Just go around and then be in the presence of the natural things. Okay, and keep your mind silent. Then you have a walking meditation, and you have perception of voices, sounds, and all the visuals that you can enjoy. I am basically, I was telling this morning in a room too, I am in touch with the nature all the time. what it is if I get up in the car and going, I kind of see all the trees, everything. I notice them. From the time the birds have come, I will be watching the leaves turning red and all that till the end. Then winter comes, I watch the snow, ice, and everything, the patterns there. If you look at that, there is a tremendous amount of abundance of beauty around us. So that in this information overload age, this kind of mind is really so I recommend. I made a video. I think the article is coming tomorrow on LinkedIn. Okay, you can watch, read that and watch that. There are so many good tips I put in there, and with what happens with your chemical in the body, I think you can take a look at that. That's a too big article to discuss here. Maybe we'll do it maybe tomorrow.
Sure. Thank you so much for the insights and advices, Dr. Rao. With that, I guess we are done today. Unless if anybody has any
Yeah,
immediate
I
question
see.
to clarify on what you have just said, um, thank you very much for your contribution today. And I thank personally Soumya, MMM, Queen, Gemma, Najli, who are sticking around listening to you and absorbing and imbibing all these valuable sessions
Yeah,
that are coming through energy, entrepreneurship, and international yoga day.
yeah.
And this is very, very needful, especially on an international yoga day covering this topic. And I really appreciate your time on this. Thank you again.
Yeah, these are all regulars that they come every day, Prasad. So I'm happy that they're here. Nazli, do you have any question? Or Janma and Bashan is here too. Um, but it's important to understand why this yoga day is important. Hi, Vashan. So how we can interpret this into our regular lives is important too. We can talk a lot, but Janma, Nazli, and Vashan, you guys want to come up, or you have any questions or something you want to know? Or I recommend that listen to the um, replay because I described International Yoga Day and also really about the yoga itself as a whole. I will invite Vashan. He may have some questions. Nazli is here. Hi, Nazli, Vashan, how are you?
Hi, thank you. I missed the room. It's your closing time, but because you gave the mic and chance to me,
Yeah.
I'm very thankful. And my question is, what type of yoga do you recommend? Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yoga is very important. It's because we use probiotics now, right? I was talking about the other day the eight free things that we could do, um, to help our health, immunity. One of them was having this free bowel movement, right? So that bowel movement, they know about it way back about the microbiome too, because they talked about all these books in a different way, Um, so yogurt, plain yogurt, Nazli, that is better. Because people are corrupting the taste of the customers. That's where they are creating different flavors and other dried fruit and all that, which is not really advisable. For me, even today, I had yogurt at the end of the meal. That is our really traditional meal when you eat some curries and some chapatis or rice and a little bit, and then usually start with fruit, and after the fruit we eat this very little rice, very little wheat and all that, but mostly curries will be there, and then at the end of it you finish it off with the yogurt. This is very important to just regularly consume the plain yogurt. That's what I would recommend.
Oh, I meant what type of yoga, not yogurt.
Oh,
Yoga,
yoga.
not
Okay,
yoga.
okay, okay. Yeah, that's. I think you'll have to see the whole tape. Then you'll understand what is the real meaning of yoga. Doing exercise on the mat is okay, But that's not everything. That's like chopping the wings of the airplane and running on the tarmac. There are so many things you can do as a human being, especially for the mind. That's why I think you should listen to the whole tape, then you'll understand. Because Nazli, you had so many questions about memories, trauma, and how to, all those things will be there a little bit. And at the end of it, I was talking about forest bathing and the yoga thing, right? I wrote an article today and I made a video of that too. That is going to come tomorrow in my LinkedIn. Today, I put in an article in my LinkedIn on this International Yoga Day. There are a lot of questions answered there. I think you may want to take a look at that. But the better yoga is start with just paying attention to the natural things that you do every day. Are you being natural in your cycles, in the circles, the body clock? Are you following that? And then are you trying to be calm between a lot of activity? So you remember the mind needs the breaks. You remember the mind needs full sleep where it is completely silent, and then it can revive itself better if you give the time for it to repair itself. Okay, so there are yogas for every bit of thing from head to toe. There are, but then physical yoga is only minimal thing. And then energy yoga, which is pranayama, the deep breathing, not only gives you more oxygen and all that, but also cuts down the rate of mental, continuous activity. So it kind of reduces thoughts a little bit, right? So that's one thing. And if you really want to develop your concentration, the yoga is called Raja Yoga. That's what I explained today in this one. There are 8 steps. If you understand at least some of it as well. But basically, you prepare your body and mind, and then sit down and then focus on concentrating all the thoughts. The last 3 steps of the 8, and then focus on one thought and go beyond that thought. Then there's a lot more there. But the basic thing is you have the ability of the focus, attention, and concentration. But if you want to really understand how do I perform, how do I do action in life, what kind of yoga can be there, that's called karma yoga. I described at length on that. For the entrepreneur, how they can really increase their energy and at the same time be calm and not be victim of this modern age information overload, but be smart about it and then revive yourself better. So there's so many head to toe yoga. For example, you have something like a joint problems. I wrote a program what's called head to toe yoga in 5 to 10 minutes, and that really relieves you from joint pains, arthritis much better. But you can do it several times of the day if you want to, or 2 or 3 times. You can start with that. If you want aerobic exercise yoga, Surya Namaskars, that is sun salutation, are the best. If you can do that every day, you will have a lot of alertness and also joint mobility, and aerobic capacity will improve. And then there are toning yoga. There are supple yogas. For example, if you're going to go to sleep, there are yogas which will help you to improve your circulation to the head. And then there are simple vinyasa yoga or yin yoga that you can do before you go to bed. So any activity in life, if you want to do, you can enhance that. You don't have to become a Hindu for that, or you don't have to become an Indian for that. I'm neither of. I don't identify anymore. That's one thing I was telling. I'm a truly world citizen. Okay, because all the identifications really limit us. Okay, but take a look at the replay. There are a lot of things that you can, but this is not something I can one day. There's so much there. I also describe the history of yoga a little bit in terms of what happened in America, what are the gurus that who followed and all that, and my own personal history of how I took it up, what it is. One of the things I forgot to tell you about the micro yoga. I told several times my own experience of suffering a severe stroke in 2014, when I had a complete paralysis on the left side of my body. where I could not move left leg and left hand. And I was running a huge practice, so many positions in the hospital, considered to be very important for all the people. So many people depend on employment in my clinic and the hospital. So many things are there. They all thought I'm done. I'm done for that. I will not be able to come back. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Then they said you cannot. Then I used yoga in the form of micro yoga, deep breathing, and being in the present. Right now, I'm always in the present, right? The micro yoga is like this. The passive part, because there is no movement, you cannot even move it at all. I had to visualize the movement as though it is there, and then start to move. Then I began to push it a little bit more. I did not depend on the physical therapy only because they don't know much and they don't give you really lot of aggressive therapy. Okay, that's something I'm working with the hospitals so that they will understand the need for aggressive therapy for the stroke recurrence, because 60% of people who have strokes with resultant hemiplegia or hemiparesis, they are disabled. They don't work anymore. They end up in nursing homes. That's the statistics in the country. But I knew better because I was always making my patients, whom thousands of people I can diagnose stroke in my 40 some years of practice. But my style was always put them to physical therapy on the day they had this. If they can't move it, I made the relatives to the passive range of motions. This is for anything. Later on, a lot of people came for knee replacement, shoulder replacement, that kind of people, right? When they came, I kind of revised their therapies and rehabilitated, gave them my own homework along with what the physical therapist was doing, and they did much faster recovery. So the point is this: don't let the paralyzed limb or cut ligaments or anything like that establish them. Do something to reverse the fibrosis and make it work. If you use it, it will be there. If you don't use it, you lose it. That kind of thing, right? So that micro yoga helped me. You know what? I made a progress so fast. Within a week, began to walk and go to bathroom myself. The nurse was very, very surprised. But then within a month, I was out of the hospital. I was in the clinic seeing patients. I was using cane at the time, but then now I walk on the treadmill by myself, and not dependent on anybody. I am kind of trying to convey this to everybody else so that they can understand this and then use that better for themselves.
I'll add one event in human evolution, what happened. So, when humanity, through centuries, started to use knowledge, and then that developed mind usage, then it developed psychos, which is a belief system, a dogma, which is the truth. Now, separation will become the mainstream until this one.
Yeah.
Separation is against natural law because we are beings first. Now, not the body. We are primarily beings. We were doing body first, which is insane. Then we go to the separation. Now, consciousness has to experience in all forms.
Yeah.
We saw it and we suffered. Now we say enough. Now we go to the unity of consciousness from the top of being. That is gonna be good for humans.
True, Dr. K. We are all one. That is the one. That's the main thing we have to do. Then my son was getting angry with Trump because of the antics he was doing. And I told him what Ramana Maharshi said several times, said there are no others. Only thing, these people are ignorant of their own being. That's why they are doing it. They remember Jesus Christ says, "Forgive them, my Father, for they know not what they are doing." That is true with more people. Then we can compassionately approach that, and not blame or really do anything, but to help them to get to this understanding that as a world we are one, as human beings we are one. But the yoga people said this, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That means Vasudha means entire world, Kutumbakam means family. Entire world is one family. And also the yoga prayer goes not to any particular god, but through the God itself, make us healthy, make us all feel happy, make us all land together, always together, one family, all the world. And that is something in spirit we need it now, because we need everybody together to solve the earth problems, because they're not making any progress, because they're looking at the short-term gains and still emanating the carbon. I follow this very closely, what is happening with the earth, the oceans. The other day, they were talking about how the temperatures have gone so much. So the fish are, so many thousands have died because of the heat of the water. And now the big dolphins are coming and attacking the ships because they don't have any feed. So so many things are happening around the world. Wars are, famines and all this. We should all be thinking, let us get together and then solve the problems. But that's not happening because people are themselves are not together. Politicians play to the people and then they don't act. And this has been going on since the 1980. I was observing this, and Krishnamurti at the time said, he was talking in 70s. That's the recording I heard. He said, what we need is a revolution in the consciousness of human beings, awareness of the problems, awareness of solutions, awareness of need for coming together. That was his saying. I thought that appealed to me very much. So, as an individual, am I going to be aware, or am I going to just talk about it? Am I going to do something positive about it at my level? So I do papers, I do articles, I do speeches, I do my personal life according to those. Then it becomes truthful. You have to walk the talk, right? But then everybody with the intention of short gains, they kind of take it. There's a time. There's no time. It's already here. And we're on the edge of the peril of extinction, probably. But then we keep on doing it. It can be reversed a little bit. Vashan, do you have any comment or question?
Thank you, Dr. Ra. I able to connect to the LinkedIn account. I send you a connection. So I follow it and I find it. Thank you.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, I did have a comment. I'm not, I'm just offering just experience with yoga, just to contribute to the room, Dr. Rao, and it's nice hearing from everybody, on the stage and everything. But yeah, I just wanted to share an experience that at one time I didn't really understand the deep spiritual practice that yoga entailed.
Yeah.
I looked at it from what most people looked at it as, just like an exercise and flexibility, and maybe some more holistic ideas behind it. But at the end of the day, that's what most people thought of yoga. And I then there's a channel that I got from Groupon. They've had it all these years. It's like very little in cost, and I said, oh wow, look at all these different forms of yoga. And so I then began to understand that yoga was much more complex. And I can tell you that one is I can tell you some of the things that I had did that was significant at the time was like the breath of fire, like breathing exercises.
Yeah.
I remember doing this like heart opening, and I remember like my heart chakra was really, really blocked at one time, and that literally like doing this heart opening yoga exercise opened me up and kind of made me the like crying, like super sensitive person that I've become since then, unfortunately. But so I just remember that was very significant. And then the other thing that was significant was, and this is like way too much information, I'm probably oversharing again, but I used it for like digestive, like, so I just remember it was like, oh, I did this yoga practice, and immediately it rendered a result by twisting that colon up, and it really worked. So there's just so many things, and I did some deep, like, I can't remember the names of them, but I did and tried a lot of it. If anybody's ever interested in that, it's on Groupon, and it's called the Yoga Collective, and they have like various instructors, various levels, various styles of yoga, and they have different increments in terms of time. Oh, and this was the best thing that I learned from yoga. I'll tell you this. But yeah, it's called the Yoga Collective, and I think it's like $15 for a year for the year or something. And I liked it because I don't like doing yoga outside of the home unless I'm doing hot yoga.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that I learned about yoga was that yoga was not about self-improvement, that it was about self-acceptance.
Yeah.
And that changed the way that I thought about life. Because if you cannot accept yourself, you cannot love yourself. And if you're always constantly trying to have the ideal of improvement, you'll never quite get there. Right? You know, you got to be, wanting to take that next step, but you have to be okay in the moment. And that's what yoga brought to me. So I definitely listen to the replay, Dr. Rao. I think you have a lot of wisdom, and I appreciate all of your shares, but I will definitely listen to replay because I do want to have a deeper understanding. So thank you.
Vashan brought a very good point about
Dr. Rao, I would say the whole week.
Yeah.
We tell everywhere unconditional acceptance, unconditional love.
Yeah.
What my sister said.
No, everybody knows that in their heart, I think, that's true. Okay. But Vashan was bringing about one of the things that people miss with the physical yoga is the yoga can massage your internal organs. Fire of breath she was talking about is called Kapalabhati. That is like as you forcibly breathe out the air, the abdominal wall goes in. That's one of the very effective exercises for so many diseases. Okay, what it is most of the time this like my abdomen is completely flat because of the breathing exercises. But you can do physical yoga even for 20 seconds if you have come to a stage where that's enough. But you can do as much as you want. But the basic thing is massaging of the internal organs in a safe way. You have to do safely because the condition that you have, you got to go slowly. But if you once you really understand the base, middle, advanced, and all that, then you grow slowly according to what you try. It's individual, completely. You can cure a lot of diseases, or you can reduce the intensity of it. Like for example, you have diabetes, and by doing this, your insulin resistance will go down because the muscles get tuned with yoga. A lot of people don't know. That is one thing you do, and then that decreases the insulin resistance. And also, this kind of breathings are done safely. They will stimulate a little bit of insulin. That's good enough. And peripheral utilization of the blood sugar also is increased because of this toning of the muscles. So massaging of the organs people really miss. For example, this is called Pavana Muktasana, where you lie down on the back and you bend your knees and put the knees on the stomach. When it presses on that, and all the gas in the bowels will come out. That's why Pavana means air. Mukta means relief. Asana, the posture. So like that, there are so many things that we do according to this. One of the things I do for consultation when people come with a particular back pain, headache, or insomnia, so many conditions, right? Head to toe. When they come, yoga has answers. So it's like a continuous study, that is there. And most important thing is the self that we're talking about. What the major, I think, I'm telling this for Vashan's sake, what is the self that we identify is something built up by us versus what is the true self they're talking about is kind of your inner awareness that is throwing the light on your smaller awareness that is going on. We usually think our personality, our ego, our conclusions, comes and all that as our self, but that is lighted by your inner light. Yoga tells you to go and establish you in that real self where your superficial self is calmed and quieted down. That's where the mind, all the quieting that is done is real uh, experience of the doing physical and all that. But once you achieve that, when you concentrate, when you focus on one thought and go beyond the thought and establish yourself in that silent self, then the superficial self doesn't bother you. That's why you are very healthy, because you don't have the restless mind, you don't have the anxiety, worry, depression, but you have a powerful intellect that is really going to work when you want, otherwise it makes trouble for you. There are some five different spiritual energies that are released in the mind. They are called dhi and all that. They are very esoteric terms, but actually you experience them. You experience like a mudita, for example. What it means is, suppose my friend has a cult as a success, I enjoy that, rather than just as taking it for granted. So that they kind of encourage these qualities. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita. Maitri is friendship to everybody, everything, just because they are the same life we have. And then Karuna means kindness, random act of kindness. What it does is, when you show kindness to somebody, it feeds on itself to you. So that's why you cultivate ill will, the ill will come back to you. But you cultivate kindness, the kindness will come. That's why one of the things I tell people is, be randomly kind to somebody that you don't know. Identify some need, something that's going on in front of you, and then help them. That is really. Actually, psychologists did a study on this. They took there was a Seligman, I think he did a study on the kids. He said one day, yeah, we are going to go to the movies today. They said, oh, there's no class, we can go to the movie. They all went to the movie, enjoyed it. And then a couple of days later, he said, there's no class today. We are going to this place where orphans are there. We're going to take some books and things, and then we'll distribute, we'll take care of them for the day, and then come back. Small kids, right? They go and do the service, and there's nothing like religious tones or anything. The psychologist is doing an experiment, and then they come back. And then 6 months later, he brings all the students and asks them, what do you remember about the movie? When he asked them about the movie, they said, we don't even remember the name. We may remember just a little bit. But everybody remembered what they did to those orphan kids. So that is giving from the heart. See, modern life treats this mind so much. You are always analyzing, you're always calculating. You remove that, make it calm, and bring it back to your heart. Then your heart will open up. And then from the heart you give, it is nurturing to you. The chakra system also misunderstood quite a bit, because the center is the heart chakra, very important. But below the three chakras are about basic existence, like procreation, eating and sleeping, and also making a livelihood, and also helping the ego to identify its place in the world and all that. But then you are still thinking about yourself and all that. You are not opening up to the world. That happens when you open up your heart chakra, where you are accepting the world, everybody as yourself only, and then that really opens up. It's always a question of paradigm understanding. People have colored it with so many things, but actually that's what it is. As they understand, as they evolve in their knowledge, and the heart chakra opens up, because you understood the role of the analytical mind and don't let it dominate. And then once you open up, then you accept and you are giving love from yourself. Your love goes inside too. Not loving yourself of ego, but really loving, having that fountain of love come from your heart, that overpours and comes. You don't ask anybody. You are loving, and it's not like a loving the self, but more like a being the love. Okay, and then what happens? The throat chakra, the third eye, and the sahasrara. Right, the throat chakra is very important, because where you are, mind is, how your heart is, where is the union, then the speech comes. What you talk about, how you talk about, what you say, everything takes the tones from there. If you are a compassionate, very tranquil mind, what you speak is sweet, always comes for the welfare of others, right? That is where the speech is. And then, if you really go to the third eye, It's not a separate I there. It's kind of a perspective has evolved beyond the self-centeredness, beyond the limited things. You can see things far beyond so many perspectives of existence. And then the Sahasrara is something that you cannot do anything about. It has to open by itself. And usually the Kundalini energy they talk about, and this energy is actually uh, uh, comes up with three things. One is real good, like kneading the body, that is physical exercise, and then unselfish activity, the heart rate, right? And then really studying the life and the truths of books or whatever insights that you have. So you should be continuously doing that education. Then your energies are harmonized, then that opens up this really dangerous thing. Should not adhere to it unless you really understand. But basically, this you go on doing without expecting anything in return. Exercise all the time, that involves all the breathing, everything else, and then really do the unselfish work in anything that you do. Not that you don't have to take any money, but you don't develop that attachment to the money. But you need the money, you take it and use it, but you don't attach into that. So that is unselfish service is very important. And then study. So the mind will be always creating itself, not stuck with the old patterns, but not having concepts, but having the insights into the universal truths of the life. See, Vashan brought all this out of me.
Oh no, I didn't mean to. Well,
No,
thank you
no,
so
no,
much. I'm just getting ready to put in the chat that I
no, no.
do wake up.
I'm just,
I can't wait to listen to replay in the morning.
yeah.
Um,
I'm kidding,
when I
Vashan.
get up in the morning. But I do have to run. But thank you
Yeah,
so much, Dr. Rao.
yeah,
Y'all have a good evening.
yeah. I'm just kidding, Vashan. I'm happy that you asked me those questions. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else has any other comments or questions before I close? Okay. Then I will talk to you tomorrow again. Okay. Have a nice day. Okay.